Hello there, my name is MrSmartDonkey. Welcome to the second battle on the Heroes of the Old World tournament hosted by Lord Rexasaur, where I am faced off against HaxoTheHunter. So first of all, I will go over the army compositions real quick. So I have brought a slightly different army. This is the one battle where I didn't bring any artillery. One battle that I've fought so far anyway, that I didn't bring any artillery. Because of the map, this is the Northern Chaos Waste, and you can see that we start off fairly close to each other. And you also start off on a slight downhill slope, so you want to get up, essentially, well, that's what I think anyway in this map. You want to try and get up on the hill as fast as possible. So if I had brought cannons, obviously their line of sight would have been terrible, so I would have had to get him up all the way over here, which means that by that time, he would have been around here or something, if he had moved up as well. Because he probably wants to get up on the hill too, you'd expect. Which means that the cannons at that point just become a bit useless. They're long-range artillery and they're very close to each other. I could have decided to bring chain guns or something like that, but I figured my plan would be to just rush him as fast as possible. Which is why I brought 8 units, well, sort of, let's start off actually with Ungrim Iron Fist, of course. I take 8 Longbeards, again, regular Longbeards, because I feel like they're just useful for holding the line, even though the great weapons are technically better against Dwarfs. I brought 4 Longbeards with great weapons as well, 2 on either side, supported by a hammer unit on each side as well, on the inner flank. And then I bought 4 Thunderers. In hindsight, maybe shouldn't have even brought them, but they ended up being fairly useful. But I could have brought even more infantry and flanked around even further. But that is my army setup, pretty simple even. On the other side, we have a generic lord once again. I think all my contestants or all my opponents took a generic lord because I don't know actually why. I think it's technically, to me, it's a poor choice because it's always going to be the worst lord, and I think killing the general is just so important in this game. But anyway, other things that he brought was 1 regular Longbeard unit right at the back here. He brought 5 Longbeards with great weapons also at the back. He had 2 hammers on the sides there, and 2 iron breakers as well. Very good infantry, but of course very expensive as well. He had 4 thunderers as his ranged infantry, and then 2 grudge throwers in the center there, which is a good choice. And against dwarfs, they're not particularly amazing, but that could have been the tank. Like if I hadn't, I was not going to bring cannons, but if I was going to bring any artillery, it would have been either chain guns or grudge throwers, because the grudge throwers, of course, don't care about the line of sight, so you can just put them right here and they would arc over anyway. But the cannons, it wouldn't work that way. So anyway, let's get the battle started, so you can see that I immediately give my attack orders to go forward, and a lot more forward in a bit as well. So I just wanted to charge up as fast as possible, because I have no artillery, and my range obviously is just infantry, so their range isn't amazing. So I would just get shot to pieces if I was going to sit there. The plan was just to get over there as fast as possible, with our stout, short dwarven legs, and essentially just envelop him with my flanking units. He's already moved his thunders up as well. Him doing the same thing, sort of that. Well, the thing that I was expecting him to do was trying to get up on the hill, just so it's an equal plane essentially, and that's what he did, as I expected. So that saves me some time in trying to run toward him, of course. So my Thunderers, once again, as I explained in the previous fight as well, their tactic for me is to just fire at the enemy Thunderers. For now I'm firing at some of his infantry because it's a nice shot just to get some damage in there. But you'll see later on, once we are engaged in melee, I immediately switch over to the range units. Because I think killing off the range units is just so important. So you can see I charge in all of my infantry, 1 on each unit essentially, and trying to go around with my extra flanking units on the sides. So the main engagement has started. Charge my hammers into his Longbeards with great weapons, which means he does actually get to use one of his hammers on one of my Longbeards with great weapons, which you will notice that over time actually definitely means that he's going to get a bit of an advantage. Didn't get a good charge there either. I was charging with all of the units all over the place, so I didn't have time to get all my charges properly off. I'm in combat now with his general. You can already see that HaxoTheHunter's general taking a big beating from Ungrim. Ungrim, I think I already used all my buffs as well. They've already worn off. But you can see here Ironbreaker's firing his satchels into my hammerers, but of course hitting his own men in the back there as well. So you can see his hammerers are actually taking more losses than my hammerers are, which means that I'm winning that engagement. His Ironbreakers over here do keep me busy for a long time. I have 3 good units here. His hammers break pretty early on. 3 good units against his Iron Breaks, but they're just so tough that it takes a long time to take him down anyway. You can see here I'm starting to lose this battle a little bit on the flanks here. I do have 3 units against his 3 as well, but he has 2 Longbeards of Great Weapons. Well, sorry, 1 Longbeards of Great Weapons, a hammer, and a regular Longbeards, whereas I have the 2 Longbeards of Great Weapons and 1 hammer, which technically should actually be good for me, except his hammer is fighting my Longbeards of Great Weapons. Then again, I'm winning this on this side. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, what happened throughout this battle a lot was that my guys weren't able to fire because of the line of sight. You can see it's not perfect. My own men are sort of in the way as well. So I was constantly trying to readjust my range units so I could actually fire. But you can see there, one of his Thunders almost dead already, whereas mine are still fine. He was firing at mine with the Grudge Furs though, but they didn't have a particularly amazing arc, so it went high up into the air and usually didn't hit for a lot of damage essentially. On this flank it's going a lot better than the other one. Well, better technically, although we are 3 units being held back by 1 Iron Breaker. I started to send my hammers around a little bit just to get some flanking, but it didn't really work out too well. Generally though, over the line I'm winning most engagement, losing a few as well. You can see here the Longbeards of Great Weapons versus the Longbeards. This is just a plain 1v1 situation. You can see that the Longbeards of Great Weapons do so much better than the regular Longbeards, but that's just the way it is. Over here, because this engagement wasn't going particularly well my way, you can see, I mean, it's not going terrible, it's just that it wasn't... I'd like to win mine a little more easily, so I decided to take this Longbeard unit that was sort of stuck around over here and send it in there as well, just to get an extra body of men in there and make sure I win that. I think Haxo's general is getting low. I'm pretty sure he actually either routed or, well, broke, and he pulled back, or he just... he didn't die. Either he pulled him out or he broke. Yeah, he broke. So he's actually going to leave for now. You can see we lost our first unit here, and because of that I decided to pull one of my Thunderers over to try and shoot that unit, because he was either going to go for my Thunders or try and charge these guys in the back, and either way I needed to deal with it, because if it went for my Thunders I wouldn't be able to fire his Thunders anyway, so I may as well do something useful. His hammers actually came back from routing and charged my guys in the back. Didn't do particularly well. They're already quite low health, of course, but still, it's a decent... it's good that he noticed it, that it came back from routing anyway. So you can see, I'm still firing at the hammers unit. Not doing a whole lot of damage, killing a few off. You can see a few of them are down there, and I think I get another half volley off before he gets in there. See some of these units... There you go, end up actually taking a shot, and hopefully that's enough to deal with that. They actually broke through my line here, only with a few men though, so it wasn't a particularly useful... Well, it was obviously it's good that he broke through, but it wasn't particularly useful for him. And because of that, I actually switched these guys over as well, and because they were already in melee with my more men there, I decided to just send this, or take this Thunder and fire at those guys as well, just to help out. Because over here, the engagement wasn't going... It was going alright, but... mostly because his general ended up breaking. I think I actually target his general with one of my Thunders, there you go. But I don't think I actually end up killing him. So overall, once again, we're still being held back 3 units, actually 2 units now, because one of my guys broke against his Iron Breaker and that hammer unit that came back, which is almost breaking again. There you go, it's actually broken now. So I targeted him, like I said, but he actually managed to get away. He just walks away from my guy. He noticed that he was being shot at. These guys almost walk into melee, which doesn't really matter anymore too much at this point. Over on this side, still going against one of his Iron Breakers as well, and the hammer units. I managed to notice that my units came back from routing as well, so I sent them back in there, but it wasn't really important anymore, because at this point, his units started to rout and shatter, and that was the second victory for me. There you go, another Pyrrhic victory, which is it's pretty good, of course. Always want to go for those Pyrrhic victories. You don't want anything better than that. Then the opponents, you know, they'll feel bad about it. You don't want that. Anyway, so definitely a pretty tough one. I mean, if you look at the numbers of men left, it actually doesn't feel too Pyrrhic. I have almost 800 men remaining out of the 1700. I think in online battles, the game is quick to give Pyrrhic victories and the other player a valiant defeat so that they don't feel too bad, I guess. I mean, I don't know, that's the only reason I can think of. Anyway, let's have a look at the losses and kills. So Ungrim doing a lot better this time because his Lord actually went pretty quickly, which means Ungrim was able to just fight against the enemy regular units. Longbeards, some of them doing fairly decent, some of them not doing particularly well, like that one over there. I think this was the one that I sent in to the left halfway through the battle. So they were just sort of in the back and they weren't doing much. His Longbeards are great weapons, doing mostly pretty well. His hammer is doing mostly pretty well as well. You can see that one of them 81, the other one 160 down, really good. Iron Breaker's doing okay, but I feel like for the money that you spend on them, you can get 2 Longbeards, and I just don't think they're worth it. They're too expensive. his Thunderers doing fairly poor, and this is the thing that I mean, is that I always target the enemy Thunderers, or enemy range units in general, and they start destroying after a while, because obviously the health drops, and they just kill, and then only switch targets when you really have to, like when a unit's coming towards them or whatever. But like what I've noticed is most people don't actually do this. They don't target the enemy range units. You really want to do that, because once you win the range battle, you can just maneuver your guys around, and you can start firing into the infantry in the back and such as well. And then his Grudge Thrower is not doing particularly well. This is the problem with Grudge Throwers against Dwarfs. They don't have armor piercing, so they just don't do particularly well against them, which is why you want to bring cannons. But of course on this map the Grudge Throwers were a better choice. But it's the reason why I didn't go with any artillery, because I felt like not taking any artillery was even a better choice than just bringing units that aren't particularly effective. So that was the second battle. Hope you guys enjoyed against HaxoTheHunter. Next up is my battle against Hef. So I will see you for that then. Have a good day and goodbye.